Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you can see from the title of this video, this is going to be my first trimester update. If you don't follow me on Instagram, surprise, I am pregnant with baby number 2. We are expecting a little baby boy in June. My due date is June 22nd. I am anticipating that he will come before then, but we will see. But I just want to do a little first trimester update video. I am like 15 and a half weeks today. It's Monday when I'm filming this, and I turn a new week every Thursday. And I just wanted to go through, a little update, as I said, kind of comparing this pregnancy to Jude girl's pregnancy, how first trimester went, everything like that. Keeping it pretty basic when you watch these first trimester update videos. I love filming pregnancy videos. My pregnancy videos with Jude are some of my favorite videos on my channel. I love watching pregnancy videos. I just think they're so interesting to watch and so fun to look back on. And I wanted to give baby boy the same experience that I gave Jude girl. When he is of age, he can look back and watch these videos and be like, wow, like that's what my mom looked like when she was pregnant with me. That's how, like, this is what she went through when she was pregnant. That's how everyone was. I don't know. I just think they're so fun to look back on. So the first thing I want to talk about, and I feel like it's a natural first thing to talk about, and that is when we found out I was pregnant, if this pregnancy was planned, everything like that. So yes, this pregnancy was planned, but I would say less so in a manner than Jude girl's pregnancy was planned. So for Jude, I really wanted a baby. Jude is very special to me. I think everyone that, like, if you have multiple children, there's just nothing quite like your first child. And that's actually something I wanted to say. There's nothing like being pregnant with your first child, because it just, like, you don't have any other children, so you're so focused on that. Pregnancy is so new. I remember with Jude, like, every day I was checking like 3 different pregnancy apps. If you don't know, I quit my job in April of 2021, and I was probably like 3 or 4 months pregnant at that time. So the rest of my pregnancy I spent really just like relaxing, preparing to be a new mom. And I really think that helped me a lot. And maybe another time I'll talk about like more so why I needed that rest at that time. This pregnancy is different. I am pregnant. Jude is 14 months old. She will be 15 months on the 12th. It's January 2nd. And being pregnant with a toddler is completely different than being pregnant with no children. And I imagine actually them being pregnant with, like, let's say like a 6 or 7 year old, especially since Jude is still pretty young, like she's barely 1. It is just very tiring. Because every time someone asks me like, how am I feeling, my first answer is I'm tired. And that's the truth. I'm very tired. I personally do not drink caffeine while I'm pregnant. I also wasn't even consuming that much caffeine prior to getting pregnant because I've been breastfeeding, and I found pretty early on in my breastfeeding journey that it seemed, at least to me, could be a placebo effect, that Jude slept better when I consumed less caffeine. So I kind of just like stopped for the most part. Like I would maybe have, I'd say maximum 50 milligrams a day, but usually probably less than that. And then once I found out I was pregnant, I just cut it off. I did that with Jude. I did not consume caffeine with Jude. Baby boy deserves the same. Even though I'm much more tired this time around, I think it's fair to give them both that experience. Anyway, I kind of hopped around. So yes, as I was saying, Jude girl, I would say it was more planned than baby boy, but neither were like just weren't planned at all. Also, I'm gonna say this is going to be a bit longer of a video. I can see that I've already been talking for like 5 minutes. So if you need to grab a drink, grab some water, grab a drink, grab a snack, go ahead and do this. Or like maybe have this video playing while you're getting ready or cooking dinner. I love like playing these type of sit down longer videos when I'm doing those kind of things. You don't have to like fully be watching the whole time. It's mostly like a little bit podcast style. But yeah, I found out I was pregnant on October 20th. And according to my last period, that made me, I think when I found out, like 6 or was it 8 weeks? Maybe like 7 weeks or so. Which was very different from Jude. We found out that I was pregnant when I was like not even 4 weeks. I think I was 3.5 weeks pregnant. So very different experience. The way that happened was because in August, we decided like we weren't going to like quote unquote be careful anymore. I am personally not a birth control girly. I just think it is honestly not great for women, but you know what's worse is having a baby when you don't want to have one. So I'll say that. But yeah, I'm personally not a birth control girly. I have looked into it. I just am not comfortable with it. So instead, I just track my cycle. But while you're breastfeeding, it is very common to actually not get a period. I thought I got my first postpartum period back in January of 2022 when I was like, Jude was born in October 2021, so like 3 months postpartum. But I actually think it was like residual postpartum bleeding because it only lasted for like less than 36 hours. It was very, very quick. Sorry for the sirens outside. We're just gonna wait a little bit because I feel like that's annoying to listen to in the background while I'm talking. I don't even know how much you can hear it. Anyway, so yeah, I officially got my first postpartum period in September. So in August, when we decided to like stop being careful, I just like stopped tracking altogether. It was already kind of hard to track because I wasn't getting, like I didn't have a period. So usually I can base my ovulation based off of the period, but also when you've been tracking for a while, and that's where I think actually the beauty of it is, you start to know your body a little better. You start to know when you're ovulating. You can ovulate even though you're not having your period. That's something I think everyone knows also. You can tell a difference when you're ovulating from your discharge, your mood, how horny you are, to be honest. And so I still had like some sort of idea, but less of an idea since I wasn't having a period. So August came, we decided we weren't gonna stop being careful and just like doing our thing. And then once I got my first postpartum period in September, I was like, okay, well now I can really track when I'm ovulating based off of that. And that was like the first month that I would say officially were trying by purposely having sex while I was ovulating. And then I got pregnant that month. So the reason I found out so late is because according to when I had my period, I should have gotten a positive pregnancy test in early October because I had my period early September, so early October would have been my first like missed period. So I always do like this 5 days sooner pregnancy test. That's how I found out so early with Jude Girl. So I took that negative. Once my period was actually late, like 2-3 days late, I took another test. I think I took like probably 3 tests within 3 or 4 days, all within early October. I think the last test I took was maybe a few days after my birthday. So like around, my birthday's October 5th. So around then, and it was still negative. So I was like, okay, well, like we must have just not gotten pregnant this month. That's fine, we'll continue on. Jude's birthday's the 12th. So I was excited for her birthday, also sad for her birthday because it's her first birthday. And then her birthday party was October 15th. So we just continued on, assuming I wasn't pregnant. And then I remember October 20th, that morning I woke up and I was scrolling on Instagram. If you know Brittany Lesser, I used to follow her. For whatever reason, I stopped following her sometime. And she popped up on my For You page. And I saw that she was pregnant with her 3rd baby. I was like, interesting. Like, I don't know. I just got something like within me that was like, I should take another test. Because I also, at that time, I was still doing solid core. And I remember the last few times I went, I was just like having to take so many breaks. And I've been doing solid core since May. So I've gotten to the point that like, if you've ever taken solid core, or if you haven't, the first like, I'm not exactly sure because I don't have a watch on me, but I would say 10-15 minutes of the class is like a core warm up. And when I first started, I'd have to take a bunch of breaks, but I kind of worked up to the point where I could either go through the whole warm up with no breaks or maybe taking like 1 or 2 maximum. And I noticed earlier in October that like I was just getting tired so quickly. I was like, okay, that's weird. And even when I would do like Peloton workouts, like I remember I did a workout and it was 30 minutes, which is like my normal Peloton. Sometimes I'll even do 45. I've done some 60-minute rides. And it was like the first time in that 30-minute ride, I was like, I might have to stop. Like, I'm very tired. I remember I got to like 15-20 minutes and I was like, I'm not sure I can continue. I did, because I'm just someone that pushes myself like that. But I remember that. And so then after seeing Brittany Lesser randomly pop on my For You page, I was like, you know what, let me just take one more test and see. And I remember I was just like, no, it's not gonna be positive, because I was just so used to with Jude, like the line came up very quickly. I was used to finding out very early. And when I remember I looked at it and the first thing I said was, what the heck? Because like I just was so much not expecting that. And then I came back to bed and woke up Corey and told him, like, actually I am pregnant, which was a funny experience for us too, because every other time we've looked at the test together. So he was like, oh, like you're supposed to take the test with me. I was like, I literally like just did not think. It's weird. I thought like something within me was telling me to take the test, but at the same time I was not expecting it to be positive because once again, as far as I knew, I was not pregnant. So yes, I was pregnant. I went according to my last period, as I said, and I called my OB, got that appointment set up, went into that appointment, and I actually was only like 6 weeks at that appointment, and then I went in again 2 weeks later and I was like 8 weeks. So they said that probably what had happened is because my body was still regulating since I just got my first period, I probably actually ended up ovulating later than normal, and that's why the tests were showing up negative when I was taking it like around when I should have gotten pregnant, but then it kicked in. So I don't know when I would have actually gotten of my like positive test if I kept testing every single day. But yeah, I randomly tested on October 20th and here we are. Let's hop to the next topic because I'm just chatting away. Corey recently told me, he was like, you know what, you'd be really good at podcasting because you can just talk. And I think that's true. A lot of people, because I'm more introverted and honestly quieter around people that I don't know that well, I think people think like I don't like to talk, but I love to talk. I actually really enjoy talking, especially about like I don't like small talk. I rather just sit in silence in small talk if I'm being honest, but I love like talking about like real life stuff or like experiences and things like that. Anyway, one thing I did want to mention is, so we announced on Facebook yesterday on January 1st that we were expecting baby boy, which is much earlier than we announced with Jude girl. We didn't announce on social media that we were pregnant, that I was pregnant with Jude until I think I was 21, almost 22 weeks. And that was originally our plan with baby boy. I actually like, we debated maybe like not saying anything at all, and then like once he was born being like surprise, but then we decided not to do that. The reason that we announced a little bit earlier this time around is I just thought it'd be fun to announce on January 1st, and Corey agreed. But in general, the reason we announced a little bit later, I think most people hit 12, 13 weeks and they like announce it to the world. One of the reasons is I just, as I get older, and this is something that my sister has also discussed with me, and I guess my mom has kind of too actually, like, I'm just getting more aware of like protecting the energy and space around me. I believe in God, but I also believe in just like the universe in general, and I believe that like the energy you put out is what you get in. I believe that if you're surrounding yourself with people that don't like align with you, that can affect you. Like let's say you want to be someone that doesn't complain a lot, but then you surround yourself with people that complain all the time, like those energies are not going to flow. So that being said, like I never want to, okay. So in the very early weeks are actually when your baby's doing the most developing, like the first 12, 13 weeks. And then the rest of pregnancy is mostly just your baby getting bigger. Like there's still other like fine tuning stuff, but like most of the actual foundation happens very early on. And so during those weeks, it's really important to me that like the energy surrounding the baby growing within me is very protected. I'm trying to think. I really don't think more than like 5 people knew before even 12 weeks other than me and Corey. And again, yeah, it's just about protecting the energy around us, protecting the energy around baby boy. The same thing with Jude girl, and that's just something that's very important to us. So I just want to quickly talk about that. The next thing, I have some notes written down that I thought I would discuss, because I did discuss it with Jude girl. Trigger warning, if you're not comfortable talking about weight gain, weight loss, please just skip this. But I wrote that, so with Jude, my first trimester, I lost like 15 pounds, like pretty extreme. With baby boy, I lost, I think around like 3 pounds, but that weight came back very quickly. And now since then, I think I've gone up like 1 or 2 pounds, like still pretty slow weight gain. My goal is not to gain any more than 20 pounds. I'm also just allowing my body to do what it's going to do. You can be aware and be eating nourishing whole foods. You can be exercising, walking, sleeping well to lower, oh, my mom's calling, to lower stress and everything. But if your body's gonna gain 60 pounds, it's gonna gain 60 pounds. On the other end, you can just be going out, like eating a bunch of not so nourishing food, laying around doing nothing when like that's not actually what your body needs, and then you can also gain 60 pounds. So it really depends. With Jude, and that's something I want to talk about, I did not really work out when I was pregnant with Jude. I would like go on walks and I would do yoga sometimes, But honestly, for most of my pregnancy with Jude, after I quit my job, so like May 1st was when I was jobless, other than like planning around the house, I spent a lot of time in bed right behind me. And so I lost 15 pounds the first trimester, ended up gaining those 15 pounds back, and I think like maybe 1 or 2 pounds on top of that, like less than 20 pounds the whole pregnancy, and technically less than that because 15 pounds is what I like lost. And that was from like mostly sitting in bed. So that was just like what my body was doing. Versus this pregnancy, I've been way more active. I took like a month off of working out when I was feeling my worst, but I started working out again, definitely like less often and a lot less intensity, but overall like I've been moving way more, especially just like keeping track of Jude Girl during the day, and my weight gain has been more than what I was with Jude Girl. I just wanted to say that because I'll read like forums and stuff, and women are like, oh my gosh, like I'm only 20 weeks and I've already gained 20 pounds. Like what's going on? Your body's going to do what your body's going to do. You can be proactive and take some measures and be honest with yourself. If you're going wild and just eating a bunch of like food that's not great for you, like maybe like you need to take a second and be honest. But if you're doing your best, then like giving into cravings sometimes, but most of the time you really are eating nourishing food and your body's still gaining the weight, your body needs to gain that weight, and you just have to accept that that's what it is, that's what your baby needs, and focus on that rather than focusing on the weight gain. So yeah, I guess I already talked about that a little bit. For the most part, just working out the same, just shorter, less intensity. My goal right now is to work out 3 to 4 times a week, and that is between doing solid core, which is like the class I spoke about in the beginning, that I started doing in May, Peloton, which we have in the basement, and then like at home weights, which we have like a little mini gym in our basement as well. And if I can hit 3 to 4 workouts a week, I'm really happy with that. Again, I didn't really work out with Jude, so I'll be very pleased. I've been trying to also start walking again. It is still, actually it's been very warm right now, so I can't say anything, but when it's cold, it is very hard for me to get outside. Though I have a friend and she was just on a walk and like there's snow, everything. I'm like, you know what? If she can walk outside when there's snow, I can take like 30, 40 degree weather, even though it's cold, I can do it. So I want to get into going on walks again, and that's even mostly for like mental health benefits. The next thing I want to talk about, which I guess I slightly did, I was definitely more sick with baby boy than I was with Jude Girl. But with Jude, the like slight nausea and extreme tiredness lasted way longer. So I just like did not feel good and not like myself until I hit basically that 20-week mark. It wasn't as extreme throughout, like it definitely lessened around like 15 or so weeks, but like I am not even 16 weeks now and I feel 10 times better than I did at this point with Jude. Versus with baby boy, that month that I felt my worst, I felt so bad. I also felt guilty because I wasn't really able to do as much with Jude that I normally do because I was just like so sick. She definitely watched more TV than I prefer her to. Corey really had to step in and do like his job and then also watch Jude a lot more because I just... Is everything all right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I just could not, like, even when I started to feel better, around like 12 would hit and I would just be like, I'm out. And then around like 3 or 4 would hit and I would be like, I'm out. Since about 13 or 14 weeks, I would say like most of that nausea and extreme tiredness has gone away, but nowhere close to where I was in those early first trimester weeks. And then now the main thing is actually, you know what, now that I think about it, the last few days haven't been that bad. I will mostly just like I'm gonna sneeze. I will mostly just get headaches, which are super annoying personally for me because I don't get headaches in my normal life. I only get them when I'm pregnant. I did find out that one of the reasons I think I am getting the headaches is because I don't eat that much sodium, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because if you eat a bunch of sodium, and it's why I don't personally, is that can contribute to high blood pressure. But then if you're not eating that much sodium, I found that it makes it so you don't have enough in your body. So like when you're drinking a bunch of water, which I do drink a lot of water, it's just like an off balance. I don't know the specific science around it. I remember learning about it, but I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to say anything incorrectly. But I found that if I'm just more on top of like eating a little bit more salty things, I feel better, and I actually will naturally crave some saltier foods, which goes into the next thing that I want to talk about, and that is cravings, which I think are fun and also annoying. I've had more like typical pregnancy cravings this go around. With Jude Girl, the one thing that I think is actually why I contributed to most of the weight loss in the first trimester, I could not eat any hot food. Like the thought of eating hot food, even the thought of it was just absolutely disgusting. So that became very difficult because there are only so many foods that are cold. And then sometimes what I would do, and like I definitely have had that experience this go around as well, is something would sound good and I would order it, and then once it arrived it would just be like, I can't eat it anymore. One, if it just like didn't look the way I wanted it to look, or two, if like too much time has gone by, thinking about that food over and over again then starts to sound unappealing. But this go around, I didn't have that hot food aversion, which was super nice, so I could eat hot foods. But my main pregnancy cravings have been very typical: pickles. Another one that I feel like is more typical is salt and vinegar chips, or like any chips with ranch, which I feel like for me is unusual. I don't even like salt and vinegar chips when I'm not pregnant. I definitely don't like ranch when I'm not pregnant, but I love it. Another craving has been Caesar salad. I had that same craving with Jude Girl. With Jude, my main cravings were salad and fruit, which I feel like is unusual for a pregnant woman, but I could not get enough salads. The amount of money I spent on sweet greens, like I don't even want to think about it, because it was just, it really hit. I still love salads this go around. Hard-boiled eggs is another one I love with Jude that I love now too. Fruit, again, another one. The last few are like, so I've noticed I definitely am craving meat more. If you don't know, I was vegan for a very long time and stopped when I was pregnant with Jude, because again, since I was losing so much weight, I got to a point where it's just like, I need to eat whatever sounds good. So I started eating eggs, and then I did start eating meat. This with baby boy, he likes meat. If I see even like a picture of a burger, I immediately am like, I need a burger. I've definitely eaten more steaks than I normally would in my day-to-day life. I also am loving soup, like potato soup, which I would not eat if I was not pregnant. Love it now. And then I did write that I've had like an aversion to chicken. Both goes around. Yeah, I had it with Jude Girl, I had it with baby boy, but every other meat I've enjoyed. And once the like hot food aversion went away with Jude Girl, I did enjoy like most meats. And then the last craving is, and the one that I don't really give into, is soda. To me tastes so good when I'm pregnant. Same thing with Jude Girl, same thing with baby boy. Normally I actually don't like soda, one, because I just know how terrible it is for you, and two, I don't like the burning feeling when you drink it. But for some reason that burning feeling is so yummy to me when I'm pregnant. I still just, again, as I said, I don't really drink it because most soda has caffeine, and two, it's just like one of the worst things for you in my opinion. But like if Corey's drinking soda, I'll probably take like a sip or two, and just like that burning feeling, I don't know what it is. Like I love the burning feeling when I'm pregnant, and that is like the only caffeine I will get, like that 1 or 2 sips. I'm not even sure if that counts as caffeine. The last thing I want to talk about before I do a little bump update, which is the best part of these videos, aren't they, is, oh, I did talk about this. Oh no, I didn't. So I did talk about how, oh my goodness, okay, I thought I just cleared all my notes. So like I have the notes for this video, but I have notes for like many other videos on this little note thing on my phone. I would be very sad if I accidentally clear that. Anyway, so yes, it is very tiring being pregnant with a toddler, but it is very, very tiring being pregnant with a toddler, also breastfeeding. So I am still breastfeeding Jude Girl, not nearly as much as I was before she turned 1. Actually, even like before she was like probably 11 months is when I started to not really, 10 or 11, I don't remember, is when I started to like not really feed her on demand and slowly like be more on a scheduled feeding. Around that point I started to say like, okay, I only want to feed her like 5-6 times a day. And then once she turned 1, my goal was to only feed her 4 times a day. I'd say right now at 14 months I'm feeding her 3 to 4 times a day. Sometimes only 2 if we are super busy. She always gets milk in the morning and she always gets milk at night. So like if we are just like doing a bunch of things and she just forgets about it, I don't offer it to her. I'm not trying to specifically wean her, but if she were to wean herself, I'd be fine with it. I know I'm gonna look back and like it's gonna be a little bit sad, but I also know I'm asking a lot of my body right now, but I also know that my body can do it. So if she does not self-wean, I'll continue to breastfeed. That's something that I think not everyone is aware of. You can get pregnant while breastfeeding. That is a myth, that breastfeeding is a form of birth control. I think in the first 6 months of breastfeeding, it is much less common. Like it's like a little bit a form of birth control, but definitely still possible. And then from then on, I think it actually does nothing as a form of birth control. But yes, you can get pregnant while breastfeeding. You can get pregnant without getting a period. And you can also breastfeed while pregnant. I've been asked like, oh, do you have to stop breastfeeding now? You don't. You can keep breastfeeding while pregnant. You can also breastfeed 2 babies. That's called tandem nursing, which I think also I've been surprised that not as many people as I thought have heard of that. So if I wanted to, and if Jude is not weaned by the time baby boy comes in June, I could continue breastfeeding her and breastfeed baby boy. And with the way things are going, I'm thinking even if Jude were to wean herself before baby boy's born, that as soon as she sees me nursing him, she's gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember that, let me get some. But we'll see, who knows, time will tell. But yeah, being pregnant with a toddler, not a joke. Being pregnant, breastfeeding with a toddler, really not a joke. Shout out to all the women doing it, because before I'm going through it right now, I had no idea. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have 2 babies under 2. I think it'll be so fun. I have a good friend and her sister, her 2 daughters are 21 months apart, and she says it's like just the best little age gap. That is what we originally wanted when I was pregnant with Jude. We wanted them to be not less than 18 months apart, but no more than 2 years apart. 2021 was our goal. Ended up with 20. Yeah, they'll be 20 months apart. And that's one thing I didn't mention. I wanted to say, so when we like decided to start like not being careful in August, I don't know how to say this the best way. I wanted another baby because I wanted them to be close in age, but at the same time, and if you know me in my personal life, you've heard me say this, Jude makes me so happy, so filled with love, more than I thought I could ever experience in this life, and something I knew I would feel once having her. But even knowing that feeling, just like nothing compares. And I thought I would never be someone that would be like, maybe I can just have an only child. I never ever thought that thought would even cross my mind. But once Jude was here, I was like, I really like, she makes me so happy. Why do I need anyone else? And that's me being completely honest. So when we decided not to be careful, it was like I wanted a baby, but also I was like, I'd be so happy if we just had Jude. And then it wasn't until, which is so funny how God works, Jude's birthday party, I have a cousin who has 2 younger kids, a baby and a toddler, and her baby was probably like around 9 months at Jude's birthday party. And as soon as Jude saw her, she was just like, this is my little friend. Like, they loved each other. They were like, just, yeah, so cute, and just immediately clicked. And I remember after the birthday party, I told Corey, and I was like, okay, now I'm ready. Seeing that and like just seeing how happy Jude is with a little baby, knowing that baby's younger, and like kind of like taking her with her, that was when I was like, okay, now I'm ready. And I remember telling Corey like, oh, I kind of wish we had started trying like earlier, because at that time I thought I was not pregnant, and that like at earliest I'd be pregnant the next month. And so I remember telling him like, oh, like I wish we had started a little earlier now, because I can see that Jude loved that, and that like my cousin's baby loved it too. Like it was a mutual love between them. And then we found out 5 days later that I was pregnant. So yes, it is crazy how things work that way. It's crazy how God works that way. Like really shifted my mindset right before I found out I was pregnant, like not knowing at that time I already was. I think that's very cool and something very special that I can tell baby boy once he's here, once he sees this video. And I love him so much already. I cannot believe I'm going to have 2 babies. Just so special. I hope this video was helpful and that you enjoyed hearing about my first trimester update. I'm going to upload like a first trimester photo dump on Instagram, so if you want to see like the behind the scenes of what first trimester when you're struggling looks like, you can pop over to my Instagram. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was entertaining. And oh my goodness, I didn't do the bump update. Definitely showing a lot earlier with baby boy than I was with Jude girl. It's also like, it's almost 4:30, oh my goodness. So like as the day goes on, I get bigger. The same way like when you're not pregnant, you wake up in the morning, your stomach's flat and you eat something, you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, definitely, I feel like my stomach didn't look like this until I was like 20, more than that, pregnant with Jude. They say your body remembers, and Jude was over 10 pounds. So I think my body's like, yeah, I remember. You had a big baby. We're getting ready. So yes, bumps definitely growing quicker. Baby boy, just like Jude girl, is already measuring ahead. I think we just make big babies. I think my babies are also very efficient at taking nutrients from what I'm eating, which is fantastic. Love to hear that. That is now everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was entertaining. And I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. Bye.